let's talk about what we're going to be up to a little bit. And I'm going to start with a question for the panel. As we discussed, all of you guys have worked on phenomenal, really huge, awesome universes. And the question to the panel is, what is it about a universe that makes it something that you can write in again and again?
Well, to me, it's you know, it's an ultimate sandbox. Like, world building is, I mean, it's one of the most wonderful things about fiction. It's, you can take all of you create a whole entire universe that's completely self-contained but infinite. You know, I mean, it's as infinite as life itself. It's wild, and to take these like little sandbox, things, parts of the universe, and just try to connect the dots in any dramatic and tension-filled way you possibly can.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
Wow, that made a lot of noise.
Yeah.
I think the fun thing about being part of a universe like the Halo universe, like any of the big universes out there, is that it gives you the opportunity to be part of something that's bigger than you are yourself.
Sure, yeah.
You know, because I mean, I write my own stuff and I have my fans, but I've never written anything that's had the kind of depth and reach and fan base and excitement that the Halo universe generates. And it is fun, but it's also invigorating to be, and also a little bit of an honor, to be selected to be part of that tapestry, to bring an aspect of that universe to life for the fans who love it and feel so, passionate about it. Ron.
Yeah, I think one of the most satisfying things for me is we're obviously having conversations with Greg and Karen about the content of their novels, and it seems to me that the universe is so rich now and so fleshed out that whenever there's a question, Karen asked me yesterday, has Halsey ever committed any kind of acts of atrocity? Because she wanted to look at some really dark stuff in that side of the universe, and we're like, oh yeah, here's a list. And the questions that we're asked almost invariably have either good, solid existing answers or amazing or exciting potential answers. And I think Greg would agree with that in terms of how some of the conversations go.
Yeah, working with these guys is fabulous. We turn out to be pretty much in synergy. I try to do the most radical thinking, and suddenly they say, hey, that's cool, that's what we've been thinking of. And I realize that these guys are really in command of the whole universe here, and allowing me to play in that sandbox in the very early infant stages is utterly astonishing. So I'm having fun playing with human origins and major questions, and I think I'm just having fun playing in the sandbox. I've played in other sandboxes, I've made my own sandboxes, and I enjoy collaboration, especially with a really good team.
You know what else is cool about this? That what we do counts. And by that I mean I've been writing Star Trek novels for a long time. A lot of people have been writing Star Trek novels, and none of those novels count in what is considered the official, real, quote unquote, Star Trek universe. I mean, Paramount has made the distinction. They say what happens on television and the movies is Star Trek fact, and what happens in the novels and comics is Star Trek fiction, which prompted one fan to say, my God, they tell us to get a life. What's interesting about Halo is that it's all canonical. It's all part of the vast universe. What you read, it's not like, here's the video games, and over here are the comic books, and over here are the novels, but they don't count. You can ignore them. No. I mean, if you just want to play the video games, fine, you can do that. But if you read the other material, it enriches the entire experience, and it's all relevant to the entire picture. And that's really tremendously exciting.
Yeah, and I think the launch of Halo Reach this year, which will be the biggest, the most ambitious, and the best Halo game ever, speaks to that, because it's set in a corner of the universe that was first explored in Fall of Reach, which some of you are familiar with. And it shows how seriously we take that and how integrated it is. That's not to say it's perfect. We make stumbles here and there, and we try to address those as quickly and sensibly as possible, but we do take every single aspect of that canon and that history very seriously.
Yeah, riffing a little bit on what Peter said, that's my favorite thing and probably the most terrifying thing about my job and what we do at the studio is because everything does count and the responsibility that carries with it to do a good job, to do a tight job with that, but also with all the partners that we're so very lucky to have who want to come play in the Halo universe, both like folks up here and frankly all of you guys, is to do right by everyone when we keep that universe together and keep it tight and keep the story moving forward in exciting ways. So it's frequently very scary, but it's the best job I could think of.
So I want to ask a couple questions to our authors. I'll start with Greg. And so you're known for your giant science in your science fiction worlds. What about the Halo science brought you to the universe?
It's a classic science fiction. You know, science fiction is always a multitude of sins clustered together to be convincing. Faster than light travel is always a problem, but how do you play with it? You realize what elements are more fantastic than others. I think the look of Halo follows the tradition of really good military hard science fiction, the sort of stuff that I was raised on. And I find myself fitting right into it. Also, I go way back. I go back to the days of Doc Smith and Jack Williamson, and again, we're following that long tradition of rather extraordinary characters doing extraordinary things in amazing universes, and I feel right at home.
Speaking of going way back, if you guys will permit, so you were one of the co-founders of San Diego Comic-Con, but it was called, I wrote it down, Golden State Comic Book Convention.
Way back when
in 1969. Did you ever think it was going to be 100,000 people and take over the city?
No, let me take you back. The Wayback Machine is set to 1969 at the basement of the El Cortez Hotel, 200 sweaty comic book fans, just having a good time. And then you look around and some of the people who were there are now superstars. And Jack Kirby showed up, and Ray Bradbury showed up, and afterwards all the fans would get together with Ray at the cafeteria across the street at 7:30 and dine and chat. I mean, those were glory days. They were great fun. We watched it grow over the years in the 1980s to 10,000, 20,000. We watched San Diego want to kick it out because all these sweaty comic book geeks were spilling out onto the streets, and that spoiled their view. And then the hotel said, no, please don't. That's our entire summer. And then it did become the entire summer, and now you can't get on the trolleys. All the mundanes are out there trying to ride the trolleys, and they can't read the signs because they're in Klingon. But I was on one parts of the committee, and more serious and constructive part. There were other raucous parts, and there were the hard comic book geeks and the artists and the science fiction writers, and we all had a great time. We all meshed together and did different roles, and people like Ken Kruger and Shel Dorf were our mentors, and they basically told us, do what you will and do it well. And that's what came out of it. It turned out that the team actually created a meme. It was really cool. And you guys are carrying it on wonderfully, I think. I love this entire mass 130,000 group. I mean, just walking through it is it's like one of the major cultural phenomena of our time. To me, it's similar to going back to ancient Alexandria and walking through the library. You guys are the new library of Alexandria.
That's awesome. So Karen, we know you as an author who's fantastic with tales of personal tales and character studies. For, what you did with Cortana and Human Weakness changed the way we saw Halo 3. What are you looking forward to playing with?
Partly creating some new characters, because what I like is a lot of space to play. Partly because I'm too bone idle to go and actually check up on continuity.
Can you move the mic a little bit closer? You're so demure we can't hear you.
Yeah, I like the idea of creating some new characters because...
There you go.
Sorry.
Perfect.
I'll start again.
No, there you go. You got it.
I like the idea of creating some new characters, but I also like the fact that there are some really messed up people already in the Halo universe. I don't like normal people.
Boy, are you in the right place.
I mean, there is nothing more boring for a writer than having normal characters, because normal characters give you no drama. You want people who are suffering. I like messed up people, I like people with horrible pasts, I like people with angst. And there's some really dark and dirty stuff at the heart of Halo. There's some real tragedies, there's some real moral dilemmas. I'm a journalist by training. I spent most of my life as a journalist. The older I get, the less it becomes most of my life. But I like to go and look at a character, and I like to interview them, and I like to get all the dirt. And that's basically how I write. It's an observational process. I'm not an imaginative person. I have no imagination whatsoever. I just work through ideas, look at something and say, what if? And I do that with my own fiction too. And I sort of second what Peter said about the thrill of being part of something bigger than yourself. There is a sense of club. There is a sense of sort of joining in and having fun. I've often, people say to me, because I sort of started out in literary SF, you know, why would a serious writer like you like this stuff? And I said, because it's fun. And I want to have fun. I actually gave up a very high-paying job to do this job. And if it's not fun, what's the point of doing it? And one of the great joys is actually being the tribal storyteller. You know, with the tribe around the fire, and you've got this interactive process with people. You're not just giving people this story and saying, this is this glorious tome, this is what I meant, this is what you must understand from it, so take it or leave it, and we'll be asking questions later. It's about this back and forth and the reaction from people who actually love this thing. I've often said to people, I'm not a fan. I never will work on anything I'm a fan of. I can't look at it objectively enough as a writer. I've got to discover it. I've got to do a journalistic job on it. So I now don't look at anything. I mean, I've got some little sacred parts like Doctor Who and Red versus Blue that are my special, you know, just my fuzzy moments. But everything else I just don't look at. So I came to Halo fresh, and what I liked immediately was you've got Dr. Mengele, a female Dr. Mengele who gets a conscience. And I thought, oh yeah, you know, because yeah, I mean, it's such a striking thing. And when I got the call saying, would you like to do this? I had a crisis of conscience, obviously, because I'm a girl's gal. I'm totally, you know, I mean, I sort of do everything for gears. And I thought, dare I jump over the fence and have some casual rumpy-pumpy with Halo? You know, what is there in there for this little fling? And I just looked, you know, I actually did speak to some friends and said, okay, you're Halo fans. What do you want to see answered? And some of them said, could you just get inside Cortana's head? And I thought, oh, let's have a look at that. Hey, she's completely nuts. I've got to have that. So, I mean, that just hooked me, that you've got this, and the most tragic character in this poor AI who's been trapped in this suit with this guy she's clearly got some sort of great affection for, that she will cease to exist long before he does, and there's no touching, and it's just, you know, it just makes me weep to think about it. And to be created that way by your surrogate mother it was just all there. I thought, you know, that is the core of it. You know, this is just, and of course, and your surrogate mother is Dr. Mengele. I mean, what more could you possibly want? And I said, right, that's it. I'm so definitely in. I want to do that. It was just so messy. I just loved it.
So, Peter, can you tell us about how you went about taking this franchise, enormous video game franchise, and changing it into another medium entirely?
Well, I'm also, you know, something of a newcomer to Halo. I mean, I knew of it because how can you not? You know, how can you work in my industry and not know of Halo? I hadn't played the game, basically because when I'm playing video games, it was usually to entertain my 5-year-old. So, you know, I'm sitting there playing The Incredibles, you know, and Buffy the Vampire Slayer. So, you know, it's not, I hadn't been playing the game, but once I was approached by Marvel about doing a Halo Limited series, I immersed myself in the universe because you have to. I mean, you can't go into this half-baked. You know, there are too many people who know this stuff cold. One of the truisms of writing is that you need to write for the expert. You don't want to get stuff wrong that's going to kick people out who really know this stuff. So if you write a fireman, you better research firemen, you know, that kind of thing. So I got the books, and I read the books, and I got the cheat books so I could read through those, and I sat and I played the game. And it was just, like I said, heavy-duty immersion. In terms of translating it into a comic book, it wasn't all that difficult because Halo is fundamentally a visual medium. It's a video game. It's not like I was trying to take James Joyce's Ulysses and turn it into a comic book. I mean, this is something that is geared for visualization.
Although that would be interesting.
What?
Although that would be interesting.
Yeah, it would be a good
When you
challenge.
say it, it sounds
But so it was basically more a matter of the story, and the story, the basic concept for the story, came from you guys. Came from Halo Central, to put it that way. And the thing is, I've worked in a number of situations where it's a shared universe, where there is basically a licensor and a licensee. And more often than not, the people that you work with who oversee what you're doing have no creative talent. They're the people who are they're like in another department, and their job is to just go over stuff and say, this is what's wrong with it, we don't like it. Even if sometimes what you're doing is firmly entrenched in the history of the property. They go like, oh, well, we don't care, that's in the past, and it just gets very frustrating. It was a totally different situation dealing with you guys, because I was given a basic outline, and I fleshed it out and had to take that outline, which was a page or two, and turn it into an overview for the entire limited series, which went back to Halo Central, who then came back with incredibly helpful notes saying, this works, this doesn't work because it contradicts this. But here's the neat thing. Instead of simply saying, this doesn't work, I would get additional notes that say, this doesn't work, but here's how you can fix it so it will work. And here is 5 pages of material to explain how it will work. And here's some visual reference, that you can click on this to show you what it will look like. I mean, there was just massive, massive support from Halo Central. And that made, for someone who was new to the experience, it made it much, much easier, because then I was just able to concentrate on doing the best story, that I could possibly tell. And it was really tremendously exciting to be a part of it. And
I think the source of those notes are directly to your left.
Hey, Alison. Thank you very much. Because because I said it just helped to build. And the thing that I was thinking about was we're all talking about everybody being involved in the universe. When you think about it, this is basically how great mythologies have been built. No one person wrote King Arthur's, A Road of Camelot. King Arthur and the Knights of Camelot is essentially a shared universe where many, many people contributed to the stories over a period of time. All great mythologies are the result of many people coming together and building upon it and building upon it. There was no Lancelot in Camelot for like 4 centuries until the French got a hold of it. And, and said, we need a man, you know what this story needs? It needs another knight who is the greatest knight in the world, and King Arthur will love him, and Guinevere will really love him, and the husband will be cuckolded by this knight, and of course he must be French. It's just everybody builds and brings their own view. I mean, the fact that Halo is more centralized doesn't change the fact that it's still the same kind of thing. Many people coming together to help bring a mythology to life and to entertain, millions of people. I mean, how many people have played this game? Do you have any idea?
Two or three.
2 or 3?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
More on Friday nights.
I want to know how they put all that together before email, though. That would have been
What?
a lot of work. How they put King Arthur together before email revision
Yeah,
marks. So,
that would have been tricky.
have
By,
to say-
by the way, I want to do another Halo limited series. I want to call it Halo, I Must Be Going. And it's about the intrepid Marine Captain Spaulding and Privates Harpo, Chico, and Gummo.
Done. Done. We'll take a meeting.
Which is
Have your-
probably why they don't put me in charge of Halo.
On a more serious note, the part that really impresses me about the continuity team is when they drop a bunch of Spartans into your office to watch you make it right.
Yeah. Including a French Spartan.
And frighteningly enough, it was the Spartans from 300. We don't know what was going on with that.
And the French Spartan's name is Lance.
And they keep sending figurines, and I know they're like going to come to life in the
Yeah.
middle of when I'm
They
doing
have,
something wrong.
they have microphones in
Little
them.
cameras.
The things. So, Eric, speaking of Eric, you're working on a whole mess of Halo stuff right now, but you're also an author. How do you keep that all separate while you're keeping your own vision for what you're writing?
Yeah, and can you tell us a little bit about the projects that Tor has?
Sure. Well, coming on, we're actually going to be reissuing all of the original 3 Halo novels, starting with The Fall of Reach in August, with all the newly edited and new material in the back matter that supports the story, with all sorts of cool stuff, with new information and hidden gems. And then we're coming back out again with The Flood, a whole newly revised version of The Flood, new covers, another new material in the back, full of all sorts of fun stuff. And then again, we're coming out with another newly edited version of First Strike. And in the midst of that, we're also doing, we're in the midst right now of an art contest through Halo Waypoint for the Evolution short story collection. And we'll be coming out with 2 editions of that, split into 2 and make them cheaper. And we're adding a couple stories to that, so there'll be new short stories for Evolutions starting in November and December. And then the Forerunner, the first Forerunner novel will come around right around the holiday, end of the year. And I can't tell you how cool it is. It's really, really fun.
No, you actually can't.
But other than that, yeah, it's Worlds. I have one of the best jobs in the world. I get to imagine what will happen in worlds that I love, and for a writer, for an editor, for anyone who really loves science fiction and just fantastical storytelling, it's one of the best jobs, and it just strikes your imagination constantly. It's like being able to, just close your eyes and just look around a universe. And that's what I really find is the best part of Halo for me is, looking to the left or the right of where the main action is to see what the ancillary stories are. Because, for every major town you see a battle, there's a town of refugees. For every AI like Cortana, there's a infinite amount of other ones. There's so many stories to be told, and to be able to play in that is just amazing.
So, Frank, your title's Halo Franchise Development Director.
Yes.
What does that mean?
That is the most words that I could fit in a business card before I got an overflow error.
Sweet. All right. Do you have anything else you want to tell us?
No, so I just wanted to talk about specifically since we have since we have Greg and Karen here, what we've been doing with those guys, and as Eric just announced, the first Forerunner novel is going to be out by holiday this year, and as I mentioned at the start, I've been reading it, so it's coming in hot and live, and I just finished the second 100 pages, and I couldn't be happier. And we had this awkward conversation with Greg where he'd been waiting for our notes, and while we definitely had some questions, we didn't have any big ticket item changes. Everything that he'd invented in that space was either exactly as we'd imagined it or better, and often better. And I just wanted to quickly give Greg a chance to talk about a couple of the things that are in that first few 100 pages. And it's hard because we didn't want to do any spoiler stuff, but there's I don't think it's too much of a spoiler to tell you that you'll see human and Forerunner contact in the first dozen pages right off the bat. And Greg is taking things in a direction that I've seen all sorts of sort of predictions from fans about what they think the shape of that universe is, and so far none of them have been exactly right. And Greg really surprised us with that, and it's coming along beautifully.
Well, I think the fan creativity is a tough thing to beat. You know, in a sense, I have to take what you imagine in your heads and try and one-up it. And I'm not always sure quite what you're imagining in your heads, however much we do the research and listen and so on. So I got to go back to my masters, to the roots of science fiction, to Olaf Stapledon and Arthur C. Clarke, and again, Doc Smith, and the early myths too, you know, Arthur and everything else. And then every story has a structure. This structure is about conflict, not so much good and evil as about growth. And that's going to be in the book. What we do have is a story of human origins and why they seem to us to be so confused. We also have a story about the creation of the Halos, how they're being handled. I can't really talk about the fun stuff that we've actually been knocking out here about the Halos, but there are going to be some major surprises about the Halos. I'm working on some solutions to some major problems with the Halos, and I keep getting told, no, that doesn't work, you know, that because of this is over here and this is over here, but we're going to get it worked out. I think you're going to know a lot more about both the Forerunners, their interactions with humans, about the history of the time, a very tumultuous history. It's just going to be, again, I've got 2 more books to go after this, and I'm just beginning to dip into that climactic moment when we reach the real beginning of the Halo story in the game sense. And that's great fun.
And the things Greg's working on now, everything in both the Forerunner trilogy and the series of Karen Treva's novels will all have direct connections to the game. Nothing here is disposable. So that doesn't mean that you're going to have to read all these novels to understand the game or vice versa. But what we're trying to create is a sense of resonance so that when you see an object or a person in a game and it has more meaning for you than certain other players, then that's kind of the baseline experience that we want to get out of connecting all these dots for people. And it should make both the books and the games all the richer for it.
One of the more humorous problems I face is trying to keep my other books away from this and not mix and match, so I'm actually plotting 4 projects at the same time right now. And fortunately,
that's where the dragon came from.
Yeah. Only 2 of them are far future, but I can't mix and match. And then I get together, I met the director of Battle Earth, Battle Los Angeles, Jonathan Liebsman, and his next movie he wants to make from my novel Eon. So I got to get together and plot with him about Eon, and I hope I don't spill the beans about Halo at that point, because Eon is also a huge artifact-driven far future novel, and we got to visualize that. So it's just terrific fun. In a sense, it's a challenge like juggling, only it's in my favorite circus, which is science fiction. It's a challenge.
Yeah, and if you guys aren't familiar with Greg's work, Eon is probably the most quoted start place. It's big sci-fi, and it should give you a very good idea of the tone and quality of writing to expect in this novel.
I got a couple quick notes. Our moderator has threatened me physically if I don't keep it short. So
Because I want you guys to have a
for Q&A
opportunity to
time.
watch some.
Just a couple other notes just about the Halo universe and things we've been doing this year is obviously one of our biggest partners, best partners, isn't at the table today, but it's Bungie. And I've spent a lot of time in this last year working with Bungie on materials to support Reach coming up. And in particular, as Karen touched on earlier, is Dr. Halsey's journal is one of the objects that comes in the limited and legendary editions. And in that we had a chance to go back and do decades of history in the Halo universe. Dr. Halsey is one of our most important characters, one of our definitely most interesting characters, and was able to work with writers and artists and designers, both at Microsoft and at Bungie, work with Eric Nyland some as well on all that. And if anybody happens to like the Halo universe or wonder little things like how Dr. Halsey got recruited, or look at some of the materials she was using when she was collecting up the Spartan kids, pulling them into the program, all of that stuff is in there. It illuminates a lot of the little corners in our universe. It was a lot of fun to work on, and I'm really excited to let that get out there and let everybody tear it apart. The other and the last note is the other group, and a lot of them are standing along the wall over there with cameras and podcasts and things like that, is working with the team on Halo Waypoint. Because we grabbed some of the biggest Halo fans, craziest Halo fans ever, and brought them in. Hi, crazy Halo fans. And through Halo Waypoint, we've got a great chance to explore a little bit more of those corners of the universe. If it's getting into the history of the species of the Covenant or the vehicles, or these guys love the ways to, get out of levels and do crazy Halo tricks and things like that. And also on the...
And also partners, because we have some roosters.
Oh, yeah.
Some teeth
with,
back there.
with roosters.
Wave, rooster teeth.
Rooster teeth. Hi, rooster
Red
teeth.
versus blue in the house.
And one of the things that we're always doing is trying to find the right stories for the right mediums. I mean, we've got comics and novels and anime and motion comics. We've done a couple motion comics already from Halo Evolutions that have turned out to be great partnerships with our man over in Spain, Juan. And we've actually got, I believe, one more video to show, which is kind of a sneak peek announce of the next motion comic we're going to be doing on Waypoint. It's the Mona Lisa. It's one of the other stories from Halo Evolutions. So crazy flood, haunted spaceship awesomeness.
All right. Can we bring down the lights?
Is that all we're fighting for now? Survival.
All right. Right quick before we do our Q&A, I wanted to show you guys that, and I wanted to ask Frank, hey Frank, what's that do?
So this is the Halo Reach Special Edition console. It's going to be available day and date with the game, September 14th. It is, you probably all read about this already, it's $399, but it does come with 2 wireless joysticks, a wired headset, a copy of the game, which is a big deal when you're buying a limited edition console about a game, and a couple of Easter eggs, which were reported. We were actually trying to save them until the thing came out, but it wasn't really possible. It has a couple of audio Easter eggs. Anyone who's familiar with the new Xbox 360 Slim knows that it has very wonderful, very sensitive eject and startup buttons. Those buttons have a little bit of RAM and a little audio player attached to them. So if you played with the Xbox 360 Slim, it makes a little chime noise. It's very nice. It sounds kind of like a shopping mall, but it's very pleasant. We were tasked with a really dumb but simple challenge where the hardware team came to us and said, we want the unboxing experience to be great. We want people to really associate this with Halo. What can we do? And so we supplied them with a couple of audio files from Halo that people associate with basically positive things. So this could go really badly wrong when I press this button and not work, but I just wanted you to hear these little audio files. So the first one should be power on, with any luck. Fingers crossed for me. I'll do that again.
I think it comes out the top.
Top? You hear that? And there's one for eject. Too quiet?
Yeah.
I got nothing.
It's the shield sound, shield charge over shield sound. So yeah.
Hey, can you do it just for now?
But we really had to be careful what sounds we picked, because a lot of sounds get really irritating if you just hear them over and over and over again. And,
So it's time for Q&A. We only have 5 minutes. What's he holding up?
He wants 10. He's negotiating for us.
But so I have a question. We asked, you may have seen, we had Twitter questions. The question came in from Eolith. I hope I'm saying that right. Is that you? Right on. Do you remember your question? It is, what is the name of Halsey's first AI as presented chronologically? So that's, I think, maybe to Frank? Or to Kevin?
I would ask Kevin, because I'm going to
Kevin?
get it wrong. And look like
Hey, Kevin.
Calmia is the one that we met, is the first AI of Halsey's that we've met so far. She's sometimes described as Cortana's older sister, has been knows, but she was used to, Halsey used her to kind of help create Cortana. It's a little bit of a mean thing, probably, having her sit there and watch her better be created, kind of help do that and have herself be replaced. So that's, again, a little bit of the flavor of Halsey. Nice lady, what she is. But yeah, Calmia is the answer to that one.
Totally not fair that you're here, by the way.
Yeah,
Totally.
nice.
Hit it.
Every time there's a commercial about Halo, there's awesome action people and scenes, I salivate and think, movie, movie, movie. And then nothing, I've been told movies have been thought about and then extended, and what about the movie?
So, I mean, I should just have a tape recording of this for every Comic-Con and E3. Nothing new to announce about the movie at this time. It's something that we'd like to see, and we've certainly done a lot of prep work for it. We already have a bunch of costumes. I would like to give another special shout out to our beautiful female model in the cat suit. She is very patient, she is very strong, and she's very tall. So we have to be nice to her in case she exacts revenge. She is, it's important to note that Kat in the TV commercials is and will be played by a different actress, but was also played in some of the stunt stuff by an actor. So we felt it was really important to get a real-life human female in a female costume. And she's been wonderful.
We took the most beautiful woman in San Diego and covered her in sparkle.
Yeah. In that respect, is a huge waste of money.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm a total fan of the Halo games, and I'm pretty sure everyone here has wanted to know the burning question. Will we see the continuation of Master Chief?
Master Chief at the end of Halo 3, and if you haven't played it, cover your ears, is in cryo sleep. And Cortana has sent out a rescue signal, and they're orbiting around a mysterious world. And we would have to be the world's biggest assholes to not follow through on a cliffhanger like that. But, hey, you're all applauding, but I didn't say we weren't the world's biggest assholes. We certainly haven't seen the last of the Master Chief, and that story is very important to us.
Thank you.
Hey guys, I love your Mr. Chiefs up there on your name tags.
They took me a really long time. I've been working on these for months.
My question is, so with the new release of the Reverse Firefight for the Covenant, will we be able to see a book from the perspective of either the Flood, maybe even Gravemind, or the Covenant?
I think the closest we got to a Gravemind perspective was actually in Karen's short story, where she definitely gives him his own narrative.
Can the Flood hold pencils to write?
Yeah, they can fly spaceships. I'm pretty sure they can master a Sharpie. So they, nothing to announce yet, but we're creating a lot of, we've definitely created a lot of supplemental material for the relaunch of the books, as Eric was describing earlier. So there's a few things, there's a few little tidbits in there. But maybe, Flood puzzle game where you just absorb everything until you win with a game like Puzzle Quest with slime.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Anyway, I was wondering if we're going to see the continuation of Master Chief, then will we ever see his face?
You'll see his face in the Fall of Reach comic book as a child, but that's it.
Yeah,
So-
you actually saw it about 30 minutes ago, so you missed it, sorry.
Yeah.
Wait, what's your name? What's your name?
Matthew.
Matthew, come here. Matthew, you guys may have seen the legendary statue, but we put out a YouTube video of Todd McFarlane signing it. Yes. And you just won it.
This is something else from 30 minutes ago. Todd McFarlane signed this statue.
Basically, it says here, congratulations, you are one of the first in the world to have this. Enjoy and thank you.
Yeah.
Of course, that box doesn't have the game in it.
Here.
eBay.
Peter.
Gotta give away. One more thing we gotta give away. I found this guy's thing, Jake Wheeler.
Did you lose your badge, Jake?
Did you lose your
Jake Wheeler?
badge?
Yeah.
You get the Reach. This is you. It's all you.
Jake wins the Reach console.
You are the last winner, and that means you are Noble 6. This gentleman is Noble 6. It's a total psych out. He doesn't get to take it home with him because it's going to have the game in it, but he gets this, which is a signed thing from all of your friends at Bungie. I think we have the other winners. The other winners who are here, raise your hand.
These guys.
Raise your hand. You're a winner. Raise your hand.
All of these guys proved their Halo fanaticism in various ways throughout the show, and they're all being rewarded with a free Halo Reach limited edition console. And like Alison said, it is a psych out. Because it comes with the game, we can't give it to them today, but they'll get we're trying to arrange it on September 13th, so they might even get it a day before everyone else.
So, so they've been our super fans, but you guys have been our fans, and we love you, and thank you so much for coming. And we'll see you next year.